Good afternoon, everybody. I'm an associate. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker dealer, and member of FINRA SIPC. All of my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Position disclosure should be the same, except I am out of my WRBY short. It was a great few day mean reversion trade there. Worked great for me. Really profitable trade. Not sure if anybody else was in it. Pop over the daily chart on it. Yeah, I mean this is perfect, right? It's exactly what I was looking for. Started shorting it late on the day 3, around 29. I knew that they could overshoot it because I was still shorting it on the way up. I had enough size to be able to build in incrementally a little bit if it continued against me. The day 4 was a little bit of a doji day here on both sides. Put in a new high. Also pulled back a little bit. Established 28 as some support. I don't like support that's so elevated like that, though. A ton of extension. Was basically looking for a move to 26, figuring at the time when I entered it, the ADMA was whatever, all the way down at like 23 and change, but I knew that would be rising as the stock came down. So just had a $26 target, which then ended up basically coinciding almost with that ADMA. Got down to it, got out of the trade. So that was a good one. Over to the market. So the question of the day is today a pivot low? SPYs here finished down 0.3%. Qs finished up a bit. Looks like we're down a little bit from where we closed. The IWM's down 0.4% on the day, so a little relative weakness actually in the Russell. We can look at that chart. TLT was up, the dollar was down, gold was flat, silver was down. The silver daily chart still looks fine. Oil was off 2.5%. Bitcoin was up 2% on the day. Ethereum was up 0.5% on the day, and Solana was up 3% on the day. Anyway, over to the daily chart here, the SPYs, which is what I have up at the moment. I really didn't want to see the SPYs lose the support of this bullish consolidation, especially on a closing basis. And that is what we have here. The SPYs lost support from the bullish consolidation. They technically closed beneath it. We do have a decent downside tail today, so I want to see if off that tail we can relatively quickly, honestly ideally tomorrow, reclaim this level that we just kind of broke down from, which is approximately 680, maybe a little bit under 680, 679. So see if we can recapture that with this tail tomorrow and get us back up to being bullish. Below this level, with today's close, it's hard to technically say that we're still full on bullish technically, but I would still say it's bullish to bullish neutral, honestly. The Qs have obviously been the bigger problem. They've gotten hit a little bit with the AI trade, with Oracle, with AVGO. So you got that bigger pullback here. Same thing. While the Qs daily technicals are much more neutral than the SPYs and the IWM, is today a day 3 pivot low. I think that today's low is important for going forward. I would not want to see the Qs lose today's low tomorrow. And then the IWM, I was saying in the morning meeting that I really don't want to see the Russell lose 250 on a closing basis. We closed pretty much right around that 250. We actually traded down as deep as the 21 EMA. Technically, that's a deeper pullback than I would really like to see to get strong IWM upside continuation. But it's not enough to break the bullishness of this chart at this moment. It's just a deeper pullback to the lower band of equilibrium. So, excuse me. So again, when you look at these 3 daily candles as of today's close, you got a little bit of a downside tail in the SPYs, but we did lose support. You got a potential pivot low in the Qs. We'll see. And the IWM as well is still kind of intact. So not an emergency yet, but I think that if we were to lose today's low tomorrow, you're starting to run into a situation where there's more technical damage being done than bulls would want to see if we're going to be getting the end of the year rally that we've been kind of expecting. So that's where we're at the index level. As far as individual stocks go for today, again, the WRBY was one that I was in and got out of. I didn't really have a list this morning because I had gotten off to a pretty late start because it was a pretty late night last night. But we had discussed in the morning meeting today looking at AVGO for the day 3 RDR. It worked. It didn't work as big as I would have liked it to. There was an interesting kind of head fake, I feel like, with AVGO and also with a lot of the meme type stocks in the first 10 minutes of the day. Like, this thing gave the RDR, and technically the RDR never failed because we never broke the opening low, but this thing looked great in the first 10 minutes of the day. Like, they opened it up below yesterday's low, they traded it back through yesterday's low, immediately we're pushing this thing green. It's a big, strong Maribozu. This is probably the best looking 5-minute candle that AVGO has given since the earnings report, if I had to guess. Good continuation on the second bar. Now you're actually getting a little bit upside extended, but there's decent confirming volume. Okay, fine, the stock's going to pull back a little bit to satisfy the upside extension. But once this 10:05 candle came in, it became a problem, and I said that right away. I was like, ooh, I don't like this candle. We needed to create the pivot low here, and then immediately go after highs to have an uptrend come in and satisfy the downside extension on the daily chart. And then this candle right here, 10:05, kind of showed that it was gonna. I don't want to say fail because technically it didn't fail. We never broke those lows, the opening low. But this was kind of a signal that you weren't going to get that like really great upside continuation to further satisfy the downside extension in the stock. And for the rest of the day, it more or less held in and tried to round up a little bit into the close. But at the end of the day here, when you look at this, it's just not the not as good of a bounce back as I would have liked to have seen. I really would have liked to have seen this AVGO trade work in such a way where it could have gotten to like the low to mid 350s today on the day 3 bounce back. I mean, the ADMA and the daily chart's still a little way up at 370, and kind of it didn't fail. It was a good opening trade, but I would say the reward side of the trade ended up disappointing a little bit. The other bigger call-outs I think were all index related. I basically had 3 index related call-outs today, and if I got to give myself a pat on the back, they were all pretty darn good. We called out buying off the 9:45 a.m. low when that came in and started to make a pivot for itself. Had a great bounce off that. Then that failed, right? We ran into some resistance at the gap fill. That failed. New lows came in. But this was like 4 heavy red bars in a row. A lot of downside extension on the 5-minute at 10:25. You can see the volume pick up here. I think a number might have come out around then too. You can see the volume pick up here on this 10:25 candle with this nice tail. And we called out the long off that low. And, same thing. It's like, hey guys, get the risk covered, book a little more profit into the equilibrium zone on the 5-minute chart, because technically this is just an extension bounce trade on the 5-minute. So you want to make sure that by the time you get this move here on the second 5-minute bar to the ADMA, that if this thing were to fail, you're at least not going to be losing money, maybe even making money, depending on how greedy your game plan was. And then it worked even better than that. Gave us a move up to the 21 EMA, a little bit beyond that, before eventually at 1 o'clock a new low came in, and then that trade eventually failed. But it was another good call out. Anyone that took it should have made money in it, or again, if you were super greedy, you should be break even in it. And by the way, if you're reviewing your trading and you see that, hey, I was involved in that trade and I lost money in it, then you need to really review your game plans, because either you had terrible execution of the idea, or you had just a really bad game plan for the type of trade that you're getting involved in. Otherwise, there should be no possible way that anybody is losing money in a trade like that, even if it is technically a failed trade. And then the third and final call out, which ended up being the low of the day, was the 1 p.m. candle here. And it was kind of the same idea. It was like, all right, we just had 5 heavy kind of sell candles in a row. We did get to new lows, but we're actually extending down a little bit here. I think that you can go long as, buying this on the way up as the tail is beginning to build itself in. You can be long just first that low. And obviously that ended up being the best trade of the day, because we worked our way almost back to the high. It looked like we were going to close actually really well with a nice downside tail on the daily chart, which is why I'm asking, is today the pivot low? And then we did sell off a little bit on the MOCs in the last 5 minutes of the day, even though I'm pretty sure it was a buy MOC, if I remember correctly. The U.S. told China it's ready to defend its interests in Indo-Pacific. So some index level calls, the AVGO call, and honestly, that was really it for me. Definitely was hurting a bit this morning and taking it a little easier, and didn't do as much research as I usually do, which is an extra reason, honestly, to be cautious. It kind of circles back in a different way to a similar lesson, maybe even the same lesson, as I kind of discussed, when I was coming back from being sick, like a little bit over a week ago, of, hey, just know when you had a late night, know when you're not feeling great, know when you, for some reason, didn't accomplish the research that you typically accomplish. I know that for myself, the research process every morning is just so important to me. One of my, let me see if I can find the exact quote so I don't butcher it, but one of my favorite lines that I think really applies to trading is a Muhammad Ali quote. Let me see if I can pull it up so I can say it exactly correctly. It's this one. A fight is won or lost far away from witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym, and out there on the road long before I dance under those lights. And I really feel like that quote applies very heavily to successful trading. You are, winning the battle, which is your trading day. You're winning the fight by the preparation that you're doing every morning, the research that you're doing in the morning, going through charts, going through all the news, making sure that you read Pat's note. All that stuff is how you really set yourself up for success from when the trading day actually occurs. And I know that, for me, if I was unable to really do those large degrees of research, then, I'm not going to be nearly as capable of being successful that day. That's your mom? Wow, that's awesome. It's a cool picture. So yeah, I guess that's the broader lesson on today. Otherwise, it was a little bit quiet, but I thought we picked our spots well, and that's all I got. So I am happy to take a look at anything that you guys want to look at, or answer any questions that you guys may have. From Michael on QBTS. Nice call on QBTS. I don't even remember making a call on QBTS. To be honest with you, I remember seeing the opening strength on this one. This is one of the ones that I was really looking at. I genuinely don't remember what my specific call was. And this is all the more reason, honestly, to make sure you do your research, because TT's providing me information that there was a buy initiation on QBTS today that I didn't even know about. But you had that great opening strength that came in. It seemed like a lot of the meme names were really strong off the open. And this one was looking good. This was another one that I was actually a little bit disappointed with come the middle part of the day. Similar but different to AVGO. Like, this was so strong at the beginning of the day. Even, like, I'm short JOBY, but this was another one. Another meme name right off the open. The first 10 minutes just super, super strong. So QBTS, RGTI, JOBY, the Quad U here. All these meme stocks as well. AVGO is not a meme stock, but as well as this one that we were looking at long, giving a great opening drive move, and then just kind of failing to give the follow-through until really the end of the day when the market itself started to improve. These names seem like they led higher a little bit, and honestly, QBTS closed really well. So if you are long the stock, I like it as a swing. Don't love that it, yesterday's candle, honestly, where it broke on a pretty nasty closing basis below this, like, bullish consolidation pattern, but this is a big inside day today, and I think that if you can get an inside day and up tomorrow, especially if the market provides any degree of further relief off the potential pivot low that I was just discussing, then this thing could negate the candle from yesterday. If it negates the candle from yesterday, then I think that this QBTS will be heading back to $30. So if you were able to nab some, that would be one that I would suggest swinging to further maximize your reward. And that also circles back to, I think someone asked me a question about it yesterday, about, swinging stock overnight, but being concerned about the potential of gaps against you, um, which is absolutely a concern. But let's just say, I don't know, I'm going to make up a price. Let's just say you're long QBTS from 24 quarter or something like that, and it closed up here at 25.50. Even if the stock were to gap down 50, 75 cents, which is a decent sized gap for a $25 stock, you're still in the money on the trade. So that's putting yourself in a win-win situation, and then saying, hey, I got this really strong close today. Maybe I'll swing a little bit of this now that I'm in this win-win situation to really try to maximize my reward. And it is lower probability, but not impossible, that, like I was just saying, you get the inside nut. Next thing you know, this stock is working its way to $30, and maybe you got involved in QBTS somewhere for, I don't know, 15 cents risk, and next thing you know, that's becoming a $6 trade for you. Think about that as a risk-reward percentage, right? We're not necessarily buying a stock at that price for 15 cents risk and saying, hey, I'm having a target of 15 cents risk and making $6, but if that reward is there, we're kind of letting the reward come to us in order to maximize that reward by just having a greedier game plan at a certain point once you know that you are in the money. And that's what I've always been a big believer in. I've always been really greedy with money that I've already made, with open P&L especially. That's the stuff that I'm willing to sometimes risk a lot of open P&L to make a lot more, because that's when you can get the big reward. But I'm still on the initial risk on trades, trying as best as I can to do them with a little bit smaller risk. And that's the name of the business, right? Is risk reward. So I hope that helps on the QBTS. I honestly don't even really remember making the call, but I do remember talking about it. So I probably did make a call at a certain point. But I was just seeing the opening strength in the stock and looking for continuation. And I didn't even know. So again, circling back to not doing good research because I got a late start, I didn't even know that they had to buy initiation today. So that would have certainly helped. What else, guys? So Tesla, off the question from Plasma Lab in the YouTube asking about my position. So first thing I would say is, I would pay more attention to what I'm calling out for trades as opposed to necessarily what I'm doing myself. And that's what I've said for everyone for a very long time, because you don't necessarily have my risk tolerance, you don't necessarily have my game plan for the trade, etc. So really, I've been calling out Tesla longs. Called out a Tesla long on the 12th, called out another Tesla long yesterday. I really liked the Tesla long yesterday. This is a classic breakaway gap, which is one of my favorite gap and go continuation patterns off of a multi-month consolidation to gap above the resistance level. And I had even said on Friday, Tesla was trying to break out through 460. It failed because the market was super weak that day. Otherwise, in a vacuum on its own, Tesla was probably going to go. And Tesla was insane that day. You can see huge opening drive move, breaks 460, but it's really extended when that happens, so it's a tricky buy. Big opening volume on there. Market is super weak. This fades more than it should. It eventually puts those buyers out of the money, leads to a bigger sell, V top to a V bottom, and then sneakily into the close. I remember watching how strong it was into the close. And I said to everybody on the team, I think in the last hour of the day or so, I was like, you watch, Tesla's going to gap up above 460 on Monday, and it's not going to let people in. And it is pretty much what happened. We still called out the Tesla long versus 460 yesterday, but you kind of had to get it pre-market yesterday. If you waited for the market to open, you're paying up $10 off the level. That's a really hard trade. It's not a fantastic risk reward. But if you were involved pre-market, you can see here the whole pre-market move. You could have gotten some stock for a really good price. So Tesla, the trade has absolutely been a technical trade to the long side, and that's why I've been calling that trade out for a couple of days for everybody on the team, even while I personally am short. What you got to keep in mind is I'm short from the last time I went to 480, right? I'm short from this move here where I did very, very, very well with the trade. And it circles back, honestly, to what I was just saying about QBTS and how I like to be really greedy with the trades that I'm already in. I don't mind giving back a lot of potential P&L that's open P&L to potentially make more, because that's how you can get really good risk-reward opportunities. With this thing, the fact that I've been trading this back and forth and putting a lot of money in my pocket every time this thing moves $2, I'm booking some profit on it. So all the intraday movements of months and months and months of trades, it started when this thing was up at 480. I'm just sticking with the game plan that I currently have, which is a game plan where I am willing to risk the money that I've already made in the trade. So I do not have a hard stop, and people who know me well enough know that while I'm an advocate of stops, especially for newer traders, especially for smaller traders, I actually very, very rarely trade with stops myself. I didn't put a single stop order into the system the entire day today, and I probably put 8,000 orders into the system today, and not a single one of them was stops. So that's just the way that I trade. At a certain point, when trades move against me, I have more of a build-in, build-out process a lot of times than I do a hard stop process. And again, that's the way that I trade. And Tesla has overall been a fantastic trading vehicle for me over the course of the calendar year. It just moves so much intraday that I can make a lot of money off the movements. Yeah, I probably executed over 7,000 orders today. So, if you include open orders that didn't get filled, I'm sure I had well over 8,000 orders that I put into the system over the course of the day today. And that's kind of normal for me, honestly. So, I've been trying to get quieter keyboards. My keyboard in Idaho is still pretty loud. I think, unfortunately, I haven't gotten a new one out there. I actually really like that keyboard, so I don't want to replace it. But sometimes, especially in the beginning of the day, I'm just banging away at the keys so hard, and sometimes you'll hear me almost apologize at the open because I can't really communicate in the VTF as well as I would like, because I'm just struggling to keep up with the game plans on my positions, because orders are getting filled so rapidly, and I need to get other orders in on the other side of the trade, and it was particularly difficult this morning. So I hope that helps with the question there. Plasma Lab. Mike Liu wants to know what I think about the payroll data. It feels mixed. I didn't look at it. I had a slow morning this morning. I genuinely didn't look at it for today. Look, you can see here. I'll pull up some charts for you guys, and you can see the executions. Here's my UPro chart for today. Every green dot's a buy. Every red dot's a sell. Here is my TQQQ for today. Every green dot's a buy, every red dot is a sell. Here is QBTS. Here is RGTI. Here is, here's Tesla. Here is, I don't know, here's Google. Like, every green dot's a buy, every red dot is a sell. A lot of executions going on. Here's AVGO. Especially look at the open, like how rapidly in the first 5-minute bar, how many orders are getting filled for me in that 9:30 a.m. bar, and I'm trying to get out the other side of the order on every single one of these at the same time. It's a lot, especially when I'm in 17 stocks with a very active game plan on what I'm doing. Look at this quad U in the first 5-minute bar because of how big that candle was. The buying and the selling that was kind of ongoing in that order. So Peter asking long sale or short sale. Red dots are sales. They can be long sales or short sales. Whether it's a long sale or a short sale depends on whether I'm long or short the stock. So like in quad U, I'm short this name. Every red dot's a short sell. But in UPro, I'm long UPro. Every red dot is a long sale. So it just depends on if I'm long or short the stock, obviously. What else here? From Vincent. As far as taking a position overnight, I currently not able to swing anything take trades and they run for a bit, stop me out. I'm not sure if there's a question there, or maybe you're just looking for feedback, but the biggest thing, it sounds to me like if you never have a trade that runs for you well enough that you can be looking at how much you are in the money by the end of the trading session to decide whether or not you want to swing it, it means that you're trailing too tightly or your stops are too tight. Most likely that you're trailing too tight. So, big advocate, like I always say, of get the risk covered, get more than the risk covered, right? Cover some additional stock when it's moving in your favor so that you're in that win-win situation. But at a certain point when you're in that win-win situation, give it breathing room. Give it down to the original stop. If you only got 15% of the position left, let that 15% of the position go all the way back down to your original out. Stop you out. And you'll still make money in the trade because you're in a win-win situation. Or it closes really well and then you're like, hey, I'm swinging it and I can potentially, make more and be in a win-win situation for further continuation. So that would be my my feedback. Michael wants to know, where do we see the firm's buy initiations? Usually we get that in the virtual trading floor every morning. So you just got to make sure you're logged in. Traditionally the start time on us getting that type of news in there was at 7:30. Now it's a little bit more mixed because some other traders are helping with that and getting that news and information sometimes even earlier than 7:30 actually. But you just got to make sure that you're logged in early and going through all the information we're getting in the virtual trading floor. It circles exactly right back to that Muhammad Ali quote that I said earlier, because that's where we're doing our preparation. It's all in the pre-market. It's all in the VTF. Honestly, I got off to a late start for me today. I think I didn't log in until 7:45. And then I also had to shoot down to the office at a certain point today. And that takes a little bit of time away as well. So probably, I was able to have an hour pre-market prior to the morning meeting. But within that hour, I also had to get all my orders in, and getting my orders in probably takes 30 minutes. So I really only had less than 30 minutes to be able to do research. And I can tell you that is not enough time. It's not enough time. I'm explaining to everybody, and look, life happens, right? I had a great night with friends last night, had more drinks than I probably should have had, to be completely honest. I was a little bit plastered. Because of that, I only did 30 minutes worth of research this morning, maybe even 20 minutes worth of research this morning. That is not enough. If you're not logging in to the virtual trading floor until 8:30 in the morning, 8:40 in the morning, I don't know how you're going to expect to be a successful trader. I really don't. I'm sure to some degree, and look, this is fine, this is what I'm here for, you're able to piggyback off of the work that I do, which is what I'm presenting every day in the morning meeting, but that's not where trading success comes from. I've been in this business for a long time, and it circles back to when Plasma Lab asked me the question about my Tesla short. You don't follow my trades. Don't follow my trades. I just showed you guys my execution on UPro today. No one's going to do that here. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. No one's going to do that. You're not me. You're not going to be the same trader as me. You're not going to be able to manage risk in the same way that I manage risk. Every trader is different and unique. You need to find out what type of trader you are, what makes sense for you, for your personality as a trader, for your account, and then put it together. And that only comes with hard work. I do not think trading is a get-rich-quick scheme. I do not think that trading is something that you can do. I get occasionally these advertisements on social media where they're like, hey, follow my trading system and you just work for 15 minutes a day and you become super, super rich. No, I've never seen anything like that actually work for anybody. So if you're not logging into the virtual trading floor until 8:45 a.m. and you're starting your research at that point, I just don't see how you're going to be successful. This business is too hard. You need to be putting in the work after hours every day, which is why I do these afternoon meetings. I don't do them for my health. I've been trading for a long time. I don't need the afternoon meetings anymore. I do them for you guys. And you need to be putting in that work in the morning to come up with the game plans, come up with the research, review all the research we're getting into the virtual trading floor in conjunction with the charts to find the trade setups that make sense for you. And then the cool thing about us as a team is we all share the information. So when I do the morning meeting every day, sure, it's me primarily presenting my game plan, my expectations based on a combination of the research I did with that morning combined with 15 years of experience of doing this. But you guys still are bringing ideas to the table in the morning meeting as well, right? And you're saying, hey, Derrick, check out this name. And sometimes some of the best trades that I end up trading aren't even names that come from me. I don't remember where this WRBY came from. I think it was one of you guys said it at a certain point when this thing was moving up on this big day 3. And I was like, oh, wow, look at that. This is an opportunity for me. This fits my profile of a trade that I really like for a counter trend trade. It's got the right float. I understand what the news is. I'm not worried about this doing a QMMMM and squeezing to 300 today. It's not going to be possible. I know what the business is. They make sunglasses. They overbought this move. It's a big technical day 4 extension. Like, you guys made me, whoever brought that up, I don't know if that person who brought it up was involved, but whoever, brought this to my radar, this is a very solid 5-figure trade for me. So I appreciate whoever did that. That is what teamwork is about, but you got to be in there, doing the research to come up with the ideas if you want to be successful. Anyway, rant over. I don't even know what caused that rant. I need to catch up on some sleep. From Kevin here, thoughts on energy stocks dragged down by CL getting trashed, confusing market, looks like a sucker rotation by people fleeing tech. Do you think better swing longs are in healthcare or in industrial sectors? Yeah, XLE, I mean, this is why technicals are so important, right? I really thought that this XLE chart was getting very productive into this $46 area. And then, what do you have here 2 trading sessions ago? You have a real failure of that resistance and a close on lows. And if you want to be involved with XLE, you really need this to be recapturing the 46. So if you recognize that and you're already in it, you're using this as an opportunity to get out of the way before this disaster occurs, or you never even got in because it never really confirmed the break, properly to the upside. That's why technicals are so important. As far as, where the rotation goes, I don't know, honestly. The rotation idea is a little bit tricky to me, I think, into the end of the year here, and I want to revisit that in January, because I do think that end of year rotation here is also being heavily influenced by tax loss harvesting or lack thereof. So I don't know. Obviously energy is very volatile and it moves, based on the price of the commodities. It moves based on the price of oil, primarily. But as far as, if they continue to sell the AI trade, where do we rotate into? I'm just not sure. I can tell you that I generally want to be long winners into the end of the year. Names that were winners all year are names that I want to still be long until we kind of get maybe to the last week of December, which by that point, people will sometimes begin to front run the fact that, the selling of those winners can occur in January and maybe get out of the way a little bit. So I hope that helps. Not a fantastic answer, but that's the honest one. From Vincent, it's been a challenge to short stock in a long, and when the market reverses, I'm not anticipating a short and miss the move. That's when I go on tilt. Sorry, Jackie, just saw your message there. Yeah, Vincent. So I've always found that one of the most challenging things in trading is to be flexible enough of a trader to be able to flip. And I've never been great at that, meaning you have an idea where you want to be short and then that idea is proving wrong and you're flipping long, or the opposite. You're long and that idea is proving wrong and you're recognizing it and you're flipping short because short is where you can make the money. I've always found that to be one of the most difficult things to be able to do in trading. It requires a tremendous amount of mental flexibility. I don't think it's a reason to go on tilt, but I also understand that the things that make us go on tilt are sometimes emotional responses and triggers that we can't control. So what I have to say about any reason that any trader goes on tilt is that it's something that you need to work on. I've certainly got my triggers. I certainly know how to lose my cool in certain situations. But the best thing is to recognize what makes you go on tilt to begin with, so that you can try to see it as it's coming or see it even before it's coming to limit the impact of it. And then the final thing that I would say is when you are on tilt, you need to be able to recognize that you should not be putting new trades on. That's probably the most important thing. Like I don't think that we can learn to become like Zen Buddha masters where we are like, always and perfectly calm and, the emotions never play into trading. I don't think that we can be that way. I basically don't think it's possible. This is such a fast-paced business. The numbers of dollars are moving up and down. I don't think that you can do that. So what are the things that you can do? Well, first of all, you can recognize what gets you upset and recognize that you are upset and know that at a minimum it just means I can't put trades on right now. And see, I've told the story in the past, like at our old office, One Century Plaza, that I worked from for 10 years. If I would be losing my cool, I had a process for myself. I would step away from the computer. I would take the elevator downstairs. I would do, a quick lap around the building that we worked in and the building next door. Just the two little buildings right there. They're not that little. But I do a quick lap around them, focus myself, calm myself down, and then go back upstairs, sit in front of the screens again, and get back to work with a little bit more of a calmer head. So I hope that helps. At what point are you considered an HFT? Not at the point. HFT robots are doing millions of executions a day. I'm nowhere even close. From Eddie, news on PLC. Yep, PLC with earnings, it looks like. Trading down. IRN running a little bit. Bouncing back. From Eli, best research learning I do is when markets are closed because I'm not influenced by any news price moves. Yeah, 100% on that one also. Love that comment there from Mr. Eli. Back over to the YouTube. Maybe I missed it, but what do you think about AVGO now? So I'm long AVGO. We went over it, but just real briefly. I'm long it. I like the long for the snapback off the extension after day 3. It was okay today, but I was disappointed that I felt we should have gotten more, especially after how strong the opening move was. The opening move in this thing was so strong. Fine, pulled back a little bit off the extension, but I want a continuation of that today. So the RDR today was a decent trade, and I don't hate the idea of anybody who's long off that opening low swinging this thing tonight. Profit cushion, maybe you want it to be a little bit better, but I don't hate the idea of anybody who's long off the opening low to be swinging it tonight. At the same time, I'm disappointed. I really felt this should have gotten back into at least the low 350s today, and it failed to do that. So somebody is still, not buying this thing at least, right? There's a little bit of a buyer strike. It looks like still an AVGO, or somebody's still having to dump some stock for whatever reason. So we'll keep an eye on it. A lot of extension here. I still think you can get back to those low to mid 350s, which has really just been my target on the trade. I missed some more comments here from TT DYO. Learn to fish for yourself. The most important info. Take it from me as a trader who has struggled. Listen but don't react. Review why. Just as was asked, the call was made. Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to impart to you guys is information, not follow my trades, follow my execution, but follow the information that I'm providing and make that your own. Healthcare ex biotech has no exposure to AI or the consumer. Yeah, I mean, biotech's been on a run. XBI has been on a run. Looks like it slowed down a little bit. IBB has been on a run, consolidating that a little bit. When I think of China, someone asked me about Alibaba earlier today. I think that the buy in Alibaba is too early right now. I don't like that it just broke support. It either needs to really recapture that support and get above 160, and then it'll start looking really good, or I want it to fade deeper for a much deeper dip buy than this. It's kind of like day one of below support is a little bit tricky. Looks like Frog just got initiated with a bunch, unless that was pre-market. Oh, it's all BTIG upgrades. All right, thank you, Eddie. Frog, GitLab, HubSpot, BRZE, Autodesk, Twilio, IoT, all initiated with buy as a BTIG. AVGO is likely to bounce hard, but there's an issue that makes it confusing. On Friday, there's a rebalancing that has Broadcom for sale, which means it could get hit, especially. What's the rebalance? I should know about that, and I don't. Is it like one of those market cap rebalances because some of the stocks are too big? I know that happens every once in a while, and it's probably due for that. But I didn't actually hear that was happening on Friday, so I got to do a better job doing my research. That's what that means. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like we got through it. Have a good night. See you all tomorrow.